Hi everyone, and welcome to my Q&A session today on how to cope with your breakup during everything that is going on right now with COVID-19 and isolation. So these sessions are designed to offer you support and help and really to give you a bit of comfort during these really tricky times. I've got lots of questions that people have emailed in, and I've been sort of scribbling down some points that I want to cover because I know that there's lots of you out there who are super struggling right now, and I just want to reassure you that that you're not alone. This time can be super hard, I know, for so many of you, and I just want you to know that I'm here. I can offer you advice during these sessions for free, so do keep sending your questions in. I've got so many questions that have come in since yesterday's session, where we covered a lot yesterday. We covered betrayal yesterday, we covered boundaries yesterday, which I think was really important. I got a lot of feedback from you guys saying that you found the boundaries work was yesterday really helpful. So I'm glad it's helping. I'm glad it's making a difference to some of you, and I hope that you are feeling just a little bit more supported knowing that at 2 o'clock you can join me. So please pop your questions down live into the feed, whether you're on Instagram or on YouTube, and do ask me whatever you need answers to, because that's why I'm here today, to help you. So I'm going to crack on because we do have quite a few questions to get through, and as usual I want to pack minutes full of as much information as I can to help you feel more supported during these tricky times. So the first question I have in is, it's just about managing to function. I think I've been in the bargaining stage, so I've been able to function. So for those of you who have followed my work or have read any of my books, and this one is £1 at the moment on Kindle, on Amazon. There's this one as well, but just so you know, there is support, and while you're going through tough times, it might be a good thing to get stuck into, but the split is only £1, so just so you know, that is available to help you. But I talk in the books and on these sessions about the loss cycle. Now the loss cycle is what we go, it's like almost like a roller coaster curve of the different 5 stages that we go through during breakup. And for those of you who don't know, the first stage is denial, where you stick your head in the sand and you kind of pretend that nothing is in. Hi, Kerry. While you try and pretend that nothing is going on. So you try and carry on almost in the denial stage for as long as you can without really admitting to anybody what's going on. And that's denial stage. The second stage is anger. And I know from some of your emails that some of you are in anger right now, rightly so, some of you, but it just is a phase that we go through, the second phase. Then we come into bargaining. Now, bargaining is when I find it a fascinating stage, right? Because it's where, as human beings, we will do anything we can to stay where we are and not change the status quo. So if you're in a relationship or you're being broken up with, we'll try and get our partners back. We'll try and change ourselves so that the situation doesn't change. Even if we know where we're at isn't working for us, maybe it isn't healthy, maybe we know it's toxic even. There's people that stay in abusive relationships and change and will do whatever they can to hold on to that, so not to face the change. And that's the bargaining stage. So what you might find in the bargaining stage is that you are doing things to keep your partner happy, which could be things that are much needed if the relationship's gone off track and you just haven't been investing time and effort into it. Or it might be things that maybe you're doing which are compromising or sacrificing who you are. So it's important to look at this. So, for example, one of the things that I would say, are we still going live out here? Because I think we may have some internet issues. Okay, here we're back. Great. Okay. So one of the things that I would say is you might be doing is you might be cooking their favorite meal more often. You might be trying to impress them by the way you're dressing or the way you're trying to accommodate their issues and what they need. So that's the bargaining phase. Now, interestingly, this lady here said that she's found out 2 days ago. So while she was coping really well, she's found out 2 days ago that her ex is with somebody else. And how has this impacted her? Well, it's meant that she's gone backwards, she feels. So she can't get out of bed, she can't eat, and she can't work. And she's working from home and she has urgent deadlines to meet this week. So she's been on antidepressants for 4 months, and she feels like she's back at day one, the day when he left. Now, this is really, I have to say, normal. She's asking me, how do I focus and get back to at least a functional state? Now, this is really important because it is, all right, first of all, I just want to reassure you guys that this is normal. So this curve that we talk about, denial, anger, bargaining phase, then goes into depression stage, which is what she's describing here, and then comes up to acceptance. Now, those are 5 different stages, and I can go into more detail about those different stages because they are important for you to understand where you are at in the curve. Now, obviously, this lady is saying that she was in the bargaining phase. She feels like she's gone backwards because now she's in what would look like the depression stage, although actually that is moving forward. But what I would say is it's very normal. So please, please don't feel like you're going backwards. Because one thing that the loss cycle and that curve shows you is the direction that we all want to follow is to go through that and come up the other side to acceptance. The challenge we've got is that when we get to acceptance or any of those stages, we can slip back down that curve. And guess what? That is normal. It is normal to go backwards and forwards on that curve. It is absolutely normal. Nobody follows it in a straight curve all the way through without going backwards. And that's what the key is here, is to know that actually recovery is 2 steps forward and sometimes 2 steps back, sometimes 5 steps back. But that is what it is, because little things will come up, like, for example, finding out your partner's met somebody else. Which will obviously shock you. I know yesterday we talked about a client of mine who was shocked because her ex had changed his hairstyle back to the one he had when they were together. Now, again, that's going to move you backwards. Now, if you watched yesterday, and I know that you did, the lady that sent me this question, and you'll know that we are super sensitive to everything right now. And a lot of the reactions that we're having are due to the extraordinary, the stressful situation we're in anyway with COVID-19. So please know that right now you're going to be oversensitive. That doesn't mean that it's unjustified, but you are going to be much more sensitive to issues that are going on because of the increased anxiety around. So your reaction right now is, again, a lot to do with the anxiety we're all going through right now. So do you see what I mean? It's not all to do with the breakup. I can assure you of that. Okay, but obviously the fact that he's met someone else is going to have an impact. So unfortunately, there is no magic wand, because if there was, I wish I could just give it to you to take away all the pain. But there isn't, unfortunately, a magic wand to get rid of all the pain. But that doesn't mean to say there aren't things you can do to make it better. There definitely are. And what you'll find is with this loss cycle that we go through, those 5 stages, you will move forward, you will move backwards. That's normal, okay? And if you weren't doing that, then it would mean that you weren't really grieving, because sometimes we get stuck places, or called the boomerang effect here, is that you will get knocked back because you're human and you care. And the reason that you're finding your breakup difficult is because your highly whammy effects on you. Of course it can. But actually the boomerang effect means that once this happens, because we're moving through that curve, we bounce back faster. Okay, you will definitely find that you bounce back faster for anything that happens. So whilst this has interrupted that flow of moving through that loss cycle and coming out the other side to feeling a lot better, what I'd like to reassure you of is that, first of all, you're doing a good job, okay? And you will come back faster from this than you would have done before, okay? So this is part of the healing process. And unfortunately, you need to go through this depression stage in order to come out the other side. So that is really important. You need to go through the sadness and the pain and that grieving, unfortunately, to come out the other side. I wish I could protect you from that, but actually it's a really healthy way of letting go of your ex, because what you're doing is you're saying, I'm grieving the end of this relationship that meant so much to me. So by grieving the end of that relationship, you can then pull yourself back up faster, because you're letting go of some of that emotional pain. And we all need to do that. If you suppress it and stuff it down and distract yourself by working, which I know is what you've been doing as well from your email, then it will keep us going until we can cope a little bit better. Then we'll lose it a little bit to then grieve a bit more, to then enable us to move a bit further forward. And you will go further forward. Do you see what I mean? You'll go a bit further forward, and then you might have another setback, but you'll be stronger because of it. So this is normal. So I want to talk through some of the things that you can do. Going through the depression stage is actually a really healthy part, because you'll find that whilst It is a tough stage because you'll have low energy. You will want to be in bed. You may not feel like eating. You may not feel like moving too much. That is a normal stage that you go through. So whilst you're in that depression stage, it doesn't have to last forever. Okay, just because you may be depressed right now or feeling sad or low, that doesn't mean it's going to last forever. And also, this can also mean, remember that you don't have to be crying all the time in the depression stage. You might be all done with the tears. You might just be exhausted. This is your body's chance to take a little bit of time out to build your energy back up. Okay, so there's a couple of things, and I know, Claire, I'm going to come to you, and if you do want to join, then I'm going to get you on the call because it's great to have some live calls. There are a couple of things I want to give on this, and I'll come back to it. I'm just going to see if Claire does want to join, because it'd be good to have live. If anyone wants to join in, you can join in. You can put your questions up in the live feed. I know somebody's saying hi, thank you for joining, but if you do want to join, you can join. There's that lady who says, I am divorcing a narcissist who now has more time on his hands due to isolation. As a result, toxic relationships are incredibly, incredibly difficult in this kind of situation. So, okay, Robin's got that too. Okay, I'm definitely going to cover that, guys. Okay, while we're waiting to see if Claire's going to join us live, I just want to give this lady who's in depression a little bit of a boost. Okay, this is where you have to dig deep. Okay, this is where you're not going to want to do what I'm recommending you to do right now. You're not going to want to do it. Okay, let's just accept that, because depression is when you don't want to do anything and you want to feel sorry for yourself, which is normal and it's okay. So first of all, you've got to be kind to yourself during this phase. Please be kind to yourself, okay? Don't feel guilty that you're doing this, because it is normal, natural part of the process. But you're going to have to do some things that are going to push you out of your comfort zone. And this is what I'm talking about. You're not going to necessarily want to do these things. So you're asking me my advice, and as your coach, I'm going to tell you that you're going to have to do these things, okay? And I want you to try them, okay? I want you to try them. And then if you don't like it, you can go back to doing what you've been doing, okay? But I want you to try it, okay? So first of all, I want you to identify a piece of music that makes you feel good, okay, or will get you through. So for those of you who may be in a toxic relationship, Titanium is quite a good song. If you listen to the lyrics, David Guetta, who Sonnet, I don't know if that's the word, but yeah, it's an amazing track. It's quite an empowering track if you've been in, if you feel like you're in the firing line for abuse, okay? Because it's all about being bulletproof and you take your aim, fire away. It's a brilliant, brilliant lyrical song for powering through toxic relationships. If that's not your thing, if you're just going through heartbreak, not just, but if you're going through heartbreak and it's sadness, find a song that lifts you up. Okay, so try and find a song that makes you feel good and want to boogie. If anyone has got suggestions, please share, because power songs are personal, but actually if someone's got a really good one, you can copy these things, okay? You can kind of cheat it a bit. So if you've got any empowering songs that make you feel good, now I want you to put that on. And I know that's not what you're going to want to feel like listening to or watching, but I think that's important. I love So What by Pink. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, that's a great song. So those things, that's what I need you to power out at full blast for a short period of time. I Will Survive. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant, Karen. Karen's one of my coaches, by the way. She's a breakup and divorce coach. She's just trained with me, and she is awesome. So thanks for joining, Karen. Get up, get showered, get dressed. I know, again, it's something you don't want to do. Don't put on those comfy clothes that you just think, oh, okay, and just slob. Put your makeup on, do your hair, get your straighteners out, do whatever you need to do, okay, to make you feel a bit better about yourself. Now, these are small things, okay, but they're definitely manageable, and it's about taking action. I know you don't feel like it in the depressed state, and that stage is hard, but these are small things that are manageable, and I want you to force yourself to do it. So put the music on, get in the shower, wash your hair, make yourself look good, put on some makeup, put on some lipstick, put on your best outfit for being at home, but obviously not, you don't need to dress up, but if you want to, why not? So that's important. Okay, I want you to break it down to small steps that you can manage just to get you up. And I want you to give yourself something to look forward to. So what could that be for you? I don't know what it is for you, but it might be getting outside and going for a walk. I would strongly, strongly, strongly recommend you get outside if you can. This is the blood flow rate around your body and gets you feeling better. And just makes you work that little bit harder, which will give you that little extra boost. So just adding your arms to a walk will make a difference. You may look a bit stranger, but hey, go for it. I would also suggest trying to focus on things with your mind that are more positive. And I know this is really hard, but actually, if you can think about 2 or 3 things that you are really grateful for in your life right now, whether that's the sun shining, or maybe that's, just being healthy, or whatever it is right now for you, these things are important. So do please try and focus your mind on those, even if it's just for a few minutes. Say, right, for the next 2 minutes, I'm going to put these worries in a box. I'm going to close the box. And I'm going to focus on something that makes me feel good. Okay, you can always go back to feeling crap afterwards. Okay, I'm not saying you have to stop it. I'm just saying just shift your mind for a small period of time. And that's really true right now, is to just try and just do things small stages. You don't have to get rid of it straight away, the whole thing. And this is the challenge here. And you're thinking, right, in order for me to feel better, I've got to get up to the top. Actually, that's not true. What you need to do is we need to start zigzagging our way across the mountain, one step at a time, changing direction as we go, as things come up. Okay, it's not one big step. It's not one giant leap. It's not something that is possible at this stage. So it's okay to break it down and just do small things. In fact, that is the only way to give yourself momentum to get out of depression, to move forward. But as I said before, it's when you're going to least feel like doing any of my techniques, and you're going to be saying, I hate you, Sarah, I hate you, I hate this, but just do it. Please try it. Dip your toe in the water. You can always go back to getting back into bed, pulling the duvet over your head and eating crisps if you want to. But I'm trying to give you a way to show you how to get out. And you do have to be a little bit tough with yourself and push through, knowing that you can come back if you want to. Okay. So there would be my tips for moving through depression and getting out of depression. And thank you for sharing your song. So we've got Reptile by 9 Inch Nails. I don't know if I know that one. I'm going to check that one out. Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. Oh, all time, one of my favorites. Yeah, so going out and getting a walk makes one feel less isolated. Absolutely. And, obviously social distancing's at play, but you can say hello to people as they sort of walk past in the distance, or wave, and those sort of things always help too. Okay, so I'm just going to pop back to some of the questions that we've got here. So I'm divorcing a narcissist who has now more time on his hands. Yeah. As a result, are you living with them? Would be my first question, because if you're living with somebody that's like that, obviously it's a slightly different dynamic. So thought health, could you just drop underneath if you are still living with them? His contact is multiplied by 4. Okay, and Robin as well. Okay, so my overriding advice is that you've got to understand what you're dealing with if you're dealing with a narcissist. Okay, first of all, you just got to understand it. Okay, good. So you're not living with them. Great. You've got to understand the rules of the game you're in, because whether you like it or not, you're in a game, because narcissists play a game. Okay, so what I would suggest is following, I don't know if you were on the call yesterday, but I've got some free videos on my website. There's a button on my homepage, saradavison.com, that says, am I in an abusive relationship? Check that out, please, because they're free videos. Has anyone else got hay fever? I'm getting hay fever even though I'm in my house. It's crazy right now. So if you look at my homepage, there's a button that says, am I in an abusive relationship? So I would suggest you look at those, download them, and have a look, please, because they will talk you through the basics of what an abusive relationship is. And again, my friend Richard Grannon runs some amazing videos on YouTube which cover all this, and he's a real expert in this area. So what can you do? Well, first of all, I want you to not rise to things, and just make sure that you understand that because they've got less distractions around them, obviously you're becoming the center focus, which is totally normal for these people. Okay, this is what happens. So what I would suggest is that you see it for what it is, okay, and not react. Okay, you don't have to. I'm not sure what your situation is here, because do you have kids that you are trying to move between homes? Because if you are, then obviously that's something that you're gonna have to be in contact for. Or is this contact that you don't need? Excuse me, I just hay fever today. Okay, so one of the things that I would say is, if you don't have to have contact, then don't, because the no contact rules still apply here. They still apply. So if you can avoid having contact, then please do. If you have to have contact over the kids, then just keep it limited to what the child arrangements are. Don't get caught up in the gaslighting, the stories, the confusion, the distraction that they're going to feed into their emails and their contact with you. Okay. Okay, so you've got 2 children who are in their teens who are refusing to see them. Okay, so obviously you've got to follow the court order if you can. With teenage children, they have a right to their own voice and they can decide. So obviously that's a bit more important. When narcissists are suddenly nice again, it's called hoovering. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of words for this stuff, and this is the challenge we have. We can get very caught up in their toxic world. And I'm a big believer that you actually learn what you need to learn and then you get yourself out. But in order to be able to keep your head above water and to be able to cope better with this, you need to understand the rules of the game you're playing. So you need to understand the basic way that they operate by, you could call it hoovering, confusing, gaslighting, being nice, reeling you back in and out, being cruel. How that works, if you understand their overall textbook way they operate, which is textbook, okay? I mean, it's some of them are very clever with it, but actually they're all textbook. They follow the same rules. And if you understand them, then you can at least dial down the intensity of the impact it has on you, which is the first most important thing to protect yourself. And then when you see it for what it is, a strategy, a game, then you can understand how best to maneuver. And that is not to engage, not to overshare, not to share personal information. So you just don't play. If you don't play the game, it's harder for them to get their hooks into you. Be almost like a bar of soap, okay? So that whenever they're trying to get their hooks in, you're just, oh, that's great, So acting as if it doesn't bother you on the outside is really important. Because the more you act as if, the more it will actually dial down how you really feel. And actually understanding those rules will actually make you feel more empowered. Okay, here we've got Kerry. Hi, Kerry. Naughty boy Lala, playing when your controlling person is giving all their opinions feels good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is a really good track as well. I love that. There's lots of really good stuff. Won't that make them angrier? But you can't second guess them. Okay, you can't do something to not make them angry. Just if you have no contact, if you just are I'm not saying I'm going to be super clear here. I'm not saying be argumentative. I'm not saying be difficult. I'm not saying just be nice, do the right thing without engaging. So for example, I would recommend actually that you follow Rachel Watson on Twitter. She's written an amazing book she did yesterday as well, which was brilliant. There's lots of people online that I think is just giving super advice. So as long as you're putting your children's best, Rachel Watson yesterday did some emails that she would suggest you send to your ex if they're being difficult about contact. And Robin, you're right, just being neutral, not being argumentative is absolutely the way forward. Just keeping it short, simple, sticking to the facts, no emotions, no intonation in your words, no underlying digs, just factual, to the point, short and sweet. So do go and check out Rachel Watson on Twitter. She's a survivor and she is really doing some incredible work, which is much needed in this arena, supporting people who are dealing with difficult, regressive, narcissistic personality types, because this is ideal for them, because it's now they can focus all their attention on you, okay, because unless they're very distracted by other situations. So I know it's tough, but you've got to stay strong during this, and you've got to see this for what it is. Please don't worry about upsetting them or whatever. You've just got to stay true to yourself. If it's safe to do so, you can put your boundaries up and say, look, I'll only engage with you on issues around the kids, and I will make sure that everything I say is as you would to a normal, rational person, but without the emotion and the difficult stuff in there as well. So just keep it super neutral, basic, boring, as Robin says is a good word. Just keep it boring. So they don't have anything to get their hooks into, okay? And there'll be a point where you don't have to respond anymore. Just because they're emailing you doesn't mean you have to respond. Remember that. So it's about taking your power back from them and you deciding when is a good time to respond. And when you've responded, you're done. Okay, no contact is always the best recommendation for people like that. But if you're worried or you think you're in any physical danger whatsoever, you can call the police, you can call the local charities that will support you. And it is important that you do that and don't leave yourself vulnerable. If you're not replying if you are replying because you're scared of something that's going to come back to you, then that says to me that might be an underlying issue there where you might not be safe. So it is important, number one, above all, that you are keeping yourself safe and you don't antagonize them unnecessarily if you think there's a physical threat to you. Okay, so that is number one priority, and you need to make sure that you're protected from that by a local charity, getting advice like Women's Aid, the Dash charity that I'm a patron of, who work in the Windsor Sound, Maidenhead area, or the police. So please do reach out. They do have domestic abuse hotlines as well, which are really important. So do check those out. It is important. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up on the session? Because I know that I've covered the couple that we've got. I've got a couple more here actually about dating. So somebody has asked me about dating and saying that they were in a relationship with somebody that was going really, really well. Oh, Robin says, do you have any techniques for stopping overthinking at 2 a.m? Yes. So you may have heard of the amazing Paul McKenna. He has written lots of books, Paul McKenna. So if you check him out, he has a book called I Can Make You Sleep. Okay. That is one of my top tips. If you get the book on the Kindle version, there is a section in there. I think it's got a CD if you buy it online. But there's one with like a double hypnotic induction, which is basically him having two conversations overlaid so that your brain can't really follow it. So it puts you into almost like sometimes a sleep or sometimes just a deeply relaxed sort of trance state, which is good. And also the words that he's using are programming you to feel more confident, more in control, and less worried and less anxious. So that would be one of my top tips. Get up and do something. Don't just lie there, just because it's 2 a.m. at the moment. Just get up and either go to the bathroom, do some star jumps, read a book, put on something funny on the TV. Just do something to change your state, even if it's for 20 minutes, and then go back for a little bit, then try again. Okay, so just interrupt that pattern, because quite often when you're in that pattern at 2 a.m, there's nothing that's going to change it just by lying there. So actually you need to physically shift your body and do something different. Refuge is a good one for domestic abuse. Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of domestic abuse support out there. Just quickly on the dating, we can pick this up again tomorrow, but you can do virtual dating. So all the apps that we have, we are usually having little chats with people on the dating apps. You can actually now do like FaceTime instead of having your first date. So you can still be doing things like that and interacting and having some fun. And to be honest, COVID-19 is a great icebreaker. So actually dating, you can still do it. Okay, you're not going to get that physical touch, but actually, meeting new people, and it's a great time to be doing that when you're all stuck at home. And actually, you could go and have 2 dates. If you move on to date two could be over dinner, and you can cook your dinner each and then do it on video over. I've got clients that are doing that at the moment, and they're having great laugh doing that. But obviously, you've got to be the right space and the right time for you for that kind of thing. But if you're not doing it as a date, you could do it with friends. And I think that's important, is to make sure you keep your social interaction going during this time, because I know a lot of you are finding it really difficult to be cut off at times like this. But you have to make it happen, obviously, and this is the thing that is important to get across. We have to keep making an effort. You can't sit back and wait for these things to happen. And times like this, where we are in isolation, we have to do more off our own back to make these things happen. So taking action is important, even when you don't feel like it. In fact, the biggest gains will be gained when you really don't feel like it. Doing it when you feel like it is not going to make such a big change to your life as doing it when you really don't feel like it. That's going to really help you move forward in leaps and bounds. So it's like building your muscle in the gym. It's not the first weight that you lift, which is relatively easy. It's the 10th or 12th repetition when your arm's like really hurting. That's when the muscle's really being built and strengthened. And so that's what I mean by this. It's not when it's easy to do these techniques that it's going to have the biggest, longer lasting impact. It's when it's hard. Okay, so please stay strong, stay safe. And any questions, drop them to me. You can drop them, DM them to me. You can email me, sarah@saradavison.com. Because I will answer them in the upcoming sessions. And please know you're not alone. I know these are tricky, challenging times, but there are lots of people going through tough times right now. You're not alone, and there is support out there for you. So thank you for joining me, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Take care and stay safe. Bye bye.